Hello, I'm Jason Alder, and here with Oğuz Büyükberber, and we're gonna talk about this piece that we did together called Sketchbook for contrabass clarinet with electronics and video that Oğuz was the master master technician behind, and I played one of the contrabass clarinets. Oğuz also played some contrabass clarinet. So do yeah, you want to talk a little bit about where your idea of how this all started?
Um, I've been working on making such pieces for myself for a while, um, as the composer, visual artist, instrumentalist, all in one. And I've I've been wanting to turn it around and work uh, like you very well put, mostly on the technician role, and give most of the spotlight to another soloist of the instrument, which you are one of the best of, especially concerning the contrabass clarinet. So the initial idea has been there for me for a while, to make uh, a, a piece which is using visuals, mainly using elements from my own drawings. Some of those pieces I made in the past used live electronics. Some of those used tape, which this one also is. And yeah, it was really fruitful to work with you, and it was a I could definitely describe it as a collaborative project, in that we bounced ideas back and forth, and I happened to be the organizing end of, like, I would create an idea, send it to you, and when you bounced it back to me, I would take it to the next level, and then I finally finalized it. The title sketchbook comes from this sketchbook, which is one of the many sketchbooks I very joyfully filled in the last many years. For those people who don't know my history, uh, I have I have been a visual artist as well as a musician all my life. So the video aspect of the piece, or video layer of the piece, is using drawings uh, from this sketchbook as the core material. And um, the idea of this sketchbook is pretty much in parallel with the bouncing back and forth idea of the piece we did together. In that, for example, if you just take one page, I did not make this in one go. I would take one marker, let's say black, and I would I would make gestures on every page of the book with that marker.
Oh wow, okay.
Uh,
So rather
linear,
than
as a linear process.
uh-huh.
So uh, only with, so normally when you're sketching a multicolored artwork, you would constantly go back and forth between different tools,
Hmm.
working on different elements and layers of the same artwork.
Right.
Uh, and in which case, the artwork was the sketchbook itself rather than
Right, rather than
one
each page
page.
individually.
So
Yeah.
I I did the same thing with different markers,
Mhm.
and I photographed every single page of the whole
Wow.
process. So I would take the black marker,
Oh, right. So like with
fill in the
every
whole, yeah, like make something with that black marker on every page,
Hmm.
put the marker down, take my camera, go page by page, make photos of every page with that marker.
Wow.
So I think I ended up using like, I don't know, seven or eight markers.
Hmm.
So I don't know. So I ended up having literally thousands
Oh yeah.
of images,
Hmm.
and these images are not scans. So when I was making photos of every page, then I was giving myself the role of the photographer.
Oh, to like
So
frame how you were.
exactly. So I
Hmm.
would maybe like fold a page and make a photo like that.
Oh yeah.
Curve it and make and use the depth of field with the lens to create certain kind of blur effects. And
Hmm.
so imagine you have thousands of images like that, all related,
Hmm.
all result of the same linear process. But in a way, there's always going back in time, because when you're editing and turning those images into a video, when I was doing that, I didn't uh, create like a time lapse stop motion style animation,
Right.
but I would go back and forth and mix what happens in the process in the timeline.
Okay. Yeah.
So very much like any composer of any media. I mean, if you're a writer, you sketch out ideas and then you change places. Oh, like you give that line to the other character, whatever. So you edit your own ideas.
Hmm.
I think that's what composing is anyway. So that was the main backbone storyline in in the visual
Hmm.
material.
Yeah.
So
Fascinating process.
when it comes to musical material, there's two main elements or layers of the musical layer.
Hmm.
So if you think of it as a you know, Photoshop project or a Logic project, you have tracks or layers, and then you have groups and subgroups.
Yeah.
So we have audio layer of the piece and video layer of the piece. So video
Right.
layer has the sub layers of the photos, and photos are the result of um, multiple layers of sketches, which is a result of the gestures that I've been practicing
Hmm.
and working to create my own visual language. The audio part of the piece could be divided into two layers, um, acoustic and electronic.
Hmm.
And the acoustic is mainly using the core material that I documented as a book a couple of years ago, and the name of the book is Spiral. The book is published by Don Amos. What I documented in the book is my personal approach to generating pitch material, mainly to be used in improvisation and composition.
Hmm.
Uh, and the need for such a, or urge for such a research came about um, when I was studying with Harris Parnay in Amsterdam 20 some years ago. Uh, Again, another fun personal fact about people who might not know me that well. I am legally blind. I'm visually impaired. I have as low as much as 6% total usable sight, which made it very challenging for both Hari and myself to follow the conservatory curriculum.
Hmm.
So we had to invent stuff together, and it was a fascinating, fruitful process,
Yeah, I can imagine.
because he could not like uh, throw Stockhausen at me
Mhm.
to just read,
Right, of course.
but he would throw Stockhausen at me to listen to.
Hmm.
But when I mean to listen to, is like I would be like walking around like a zombie, listening to the same whatever piece 200th time, and like really internalize it and then improvise what's left. I really researched to find a way to improvise atonal music, basically. I don't know if you ever tried improvising serial music. It's
I
a
mean,
brain gymnastics that
following like an actual serial route.
exactly. It's
No, I mean that
so
is.
excruciatingly impossible. So the result of which is documented in the book, and Mr. Jason Elder was very, very generous and rigorous to dig it, and you did amazing things with what I threw at you. The acoustic part uses instructions based on the book, and you and I both played bunch of bunch of tracks, and I messed with those using this mess over here.
From the musical perspective, yeah, you sent me material out of your book,
Yes.
Spirals, that I recorded and kind of sent back to you, and
Yeah.
then the but then you also played contrabass clarinet as well.
Exactly.
Were you also using then material from your book as well?
I was.
Hmm.
Yeah. You can think of it as similar to polytonal approach. I think what we were doing in the end became somewhat relatable to the video. And in the end, I organized everything with time-based instructions,
Hmm.
which you followed. And
So when you were making the electronic track, when did that happen in the process? Did you take both of our playing, the acoustic playing, and then integrate, like play an electronic track with that, or did you have the video already and you were making the electronics to match the video, or kind of how did that process work?
I actually did some generative material using the modular synthesizer in the complete analog domain without using any of our playing,
Hmm.
but using the core material of the spirals, but applying it to the modular synthesizer and
Oh, okay.
the basically creating logic algorithmic feedback loops within the
Mm.
system so that the system would generate based on what I tell it to do.
Okay. Right.
And then I played things with it and I sent those to you,
Uh-huh.
uh, etc. So that's also another um, example of it's comparable to like drawing something and then making a photo of it.
Hmm. Right.
So I would I would write notes and then generate that with the analog synthesizer and then play something inspired by that.
Mm.
So it's all
Okay. Yeah, this kind
and
of
then in the
feedback
final
loop sort of
mix, it's
thing.
all final edit. It's all mixed. You
Hmm.
still hear the analog synth sounds as well as our playing, and what you played is also then further processed
Hmm.
with the electronics later on.
The part that I played live, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
but the very last thing you played is not processed. In the final version, when we see you,
Ah. Okay. Yeah.
that part is the soloist part, which is
Right.
not processed.
Right. Okay.
But the parts you sent me along the process
Hmm. All get
before I sent you the
processed
final
and
score
yeah.
is processed.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a very yeah, a very very layered approach to this writing, and yeah, I think this whole kind of feedback loop idea, and layering different all these aspects together and then bouncing them back and forth, and really made for this really kind of collaborative effort. Um, yeah, and I think it's I guess perhaps also worth mentioning that the reason this project came up was the was it the Dutch embassy in London
Yes.
was wanting to fund a project to bring artists in the Netherlands and in the UK together in the time of COVID, where we can't, we can't work together, like, in person like we might have liked to, but but then to have this real kind of virtual virtual collaborative experience.
Yes.
Um, which which everybody is having to adapt to these days. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it was for me, it was it was really interesting that we were able to get this process to kind of work like this, and
absolutely,
and the fact that
absolutely.
it's we're still able to find ways to make music and make a project and really come together despite not, I mean, we do know each other in person and everything, but not actually being able to work together physically or anything. So it's
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely one of the main, more than an inspiration, I would call it like encouragements. Like, oh,
Hmm.
we can actually do this. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
very happy about the result.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. It was a lot of fun to make, and very yeah, it was a new, I work in lots of different mediums as well,
Absolutely.
compose music and improvise music and multimedia and electronics and everything. So I mean, it was nice that this kind of uh, brought all of those things together, but also in a very new and different way,
Yes.
from how I had worked before. But, oh, great!
Great.
Well, thank you
Thank you, Jason.
for discussing this a bit with me.
Of course.
Yeah.